Hi, everyone. Welcome to the MedCurity podcast. My name is Mel, and I'm thrilled to be hosting our special guest today, Dr. Sean Raj. As Chief Innovation Officer at SimonMed Imaging, Dr. Raj is at the forefront of new clinical technologies and patient-centered research. Join us as we discuss the future of healthcare, radiology, and how AI is elevating clinical outcomes. Dr. Raj, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I've been looking forward to having this conversation. So, could you tell our listeners a bit about your journey into the field of radiology and what drove you into the specialty initially?
Sure. I think I've always been a visual learner, and radiology spoke to me early, especially in anatomy, where we were looking at different parts of the body and seeing the tissues connect with each other, where you could literally, see issues. And so when I started seeing CT and MRI images and being able to see the details, even at the level of the pixel, I think that's what ultimately sealed the deal for me.
That's really neat. You've been involved in radiology for a while, and I know you joined Simon Med a few years ago. And will you tell us about some of the significant changes that you've witnessed and been part of through your career, and kind of what kind of challenges has Simon Med and yourself been aiming to solve that you know previously hadn't been taken care of in radiology, or what changes really have needed to be implemented?
Yeah, I think it's important to highlight that, at Simon Med, we see AI as not just a gimmick, but a tool that truly can change and enhance patient care. And bringing this in, we kind of see the field shifting more towards precision and personalization, all while contending with surging volumes in the outpatient world. And so there's a really great harmony between being able to continue to deliver outstanding care now at scale.
Yeah, it sounds like you have over 160 locations in the US, and I imagine you're continuing to expand pretty quickly, being that radiology is one of those, I mean, it key for diagnostics and things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
we certainly see volumes increasing across the board. And we know that adding in technology at all aspects of our business, from clinical to operations, we can help deliver better care, enhanced care to our patients at scale.
I understand you're leading the evaluation, acquisition, integration, and implementation of new clinical tech into Simon Med's infrastructure. As you've been, integrating and implementing more and more of the AI technology, what challenges, I guess, have you seen as far as getting teams to learn and adopt, or pushback that you might experience, or do you just see a lot of enthusiasm all across the board? I'm just kind of curious, like how that pans out as you bring more and more AI into our into radiology.
Yeah, it's been interesting because radiology has changed so much, so dramatically over the last decade or two, right? Before, I think radiology was considered, as a place for a snapshot of information for the patient and really providing this back to the provider. And
Mhm.
now we at Simon Med believe that when you come to Simon Med, we deliver more than a report. We deliver information, education, and the ability for patients to learn more about themselves so they can be the best custodians of their own health. And, this comes down to our teams, right? That comes down to our radiologists, our technologists, all our staff, all being on the same page that we know that when patients come see us, our job is more than just delivering a report. It's
Mhm.
delivering clarity, convenience, and to that end, we've designed our workflow for radiologists and delivery of great reports to be very efficient and very, very high quality. And we use AI technology to deliver that.
Yeah, I imagine, when people are getting imaging done, there's something that like maybe they're in pain or something they want solved, and there's probably pressure on the radiologist to bring answers so that more efficient things are, I imagine. That's, I mean, ultimately the best for everyone. So tell me, what would you find, I guess, like as you've spent more and more time in radiology, kind of what's the most rewarding aspect of it?
Well, I think that can be answered a couple different ways, but the most rewarding aspect is seeing the impact on our patients. For example, in this last few months have launched a wonderful program uh, called Mammo Plus
Wow,
and PBCD. And so the PBCD program is now called the Mammo Plus program, and Mammo Plus is a nationwide program where we deliver AI powered interpretations and personal insights, meaning those patients that elect for this Mammogram Plus option get a second layer of AI, which can spot cancers earlier
mhm,
and find very, very subtle lesions. And we can also supplement that with insights on patients' breast density and patients'
mhm.
personalized risk. And so the amalgam of all of these components, we can deliver patients enhanced reports where patients are now better able to make decisions for themselves. We may find out a patient is high risk and needs an MRI. We may find out that the patient has dense breasts, and now the patient not only gets a paper report, but now can actually visualize her breast imaging findings through our reporting. And when patients see their findings and see their issues, they're much, much more educated and more likely to make better decisions for their health.
That's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine how much more peace of mind that brings, having that extra layer of reporting, I guess, or a thoroughness to the imaging, especially with something as sensitive as, if somebody has a family history of breast cancer or something, they probably have, it's probably weighs on their mind, I imagine. So I guess if you were to compare Simon Med's approach to AI and radiology to other imaging centers, what would you say kind of stands out?
Yeah, I think Mayo Plus and beyond, just all of our AI initiatives, I think we realize that radiology practices that utilize AI will outpace and replace radiology practices that don't endorse AI. For a number of different reasons, right? I mean, we could talk about it at the radiologist level. We know that AI helps reduce burnout,
Mhm.
but as well, at the same time as it helps improve quality of especially repetitive tasks. You know, um, Radiologists are better able to utilize their mental function on more complicated cases or triaging cases that need attention faster. And
Mhm.
by doing all of this, we find that the implementation of AI results in more accurate, faster diagnoses for our patients. And so I think it's just the way the trend is, practices will have to embrace AI for them to be
Mhm.
competitive as volumes continue to surge across the country.
Yeah, it's not just a buzzword, you know? So as far as the radiology goes, and your experience with the implementation of new technology and seeing it being adopted in more and more places, as far as like when you're thinking of patients, what are the key things that you would want patients to know about the role of radiology in their overall healthcare journey and the importance of it, or just like things that maybe they don't necessarily realize, or maybe that don't come to mind as often.
Yeah, I think a great way to think about this is that radiology is more than just a bunch of pictures put together. In
Mhm,
fact, I would say it's the backbone of diagnoses because every single pixel that we acquire in these scans could have some information that leads to earlier diagnosis of disease, whether it be cancer or some chronic process or acute process. And so ultimately, patients should know that getting the right scan interpreted by the right team with the right tools, specifically AI tools, can change everything about their health trajectories.
I know some people may be intimidated by AI or they're kind of uncertain and maybe there's some bias or something like that that they're worried about that things aren't going to be found, fears that people might have, like, oh, the AI is going to take our job, or oh, the AI makes mistake. What are your thoughts on the things that people have expressed to you that they're worried about
Yeah,
things?
well, you've certainly done your homework because you honed in on a key word, bias. We know through external studies, but even on internal validation at SimonMed, we see that vendors producing these AI tools oftentimes will have their AI models be excellent on certain populations and suboptimal in others. And so, a practice like ours, which is again a nationwide coast to coast practice, where we are in all different markets with different socioeconomic classes and just different groups of people from all over the place, we are finding that we must do our diligence in bringing in an AI model. For any given tool, whether it be for X-ray, CT ultrasound, mammo, MRI, there are many, many vendors to choose that can do effectively the same end goal, which is, identify disease or triage or any number of tasks. The question is how to choose the right model for your patient base. And so, what we do at SimonMed to overcome some of this bias that's implicitly built into these models is that we will always create a very challenging data set, a diverse data set, sometimes containing hundreds or thousands of patients from different markets, and stress test the AIs head to head. And so we then select the AI model that works best for our practice. And it's been very successful in our many rollouts of AI. And I think that's what keeps elevating our level compared to many of our competitors.
And kind of like looking forward, I hear you recently partnered with a company called Lunit for early detection stage cancer. Where are you kind of imagining the future or continuing to take the future of SimonMed and radiology kind of in the next few years?
It's no secret that SimonMed has been at the leading edge of AI rollouts, right? We have been very progressive at bringing in the best technology at the moment to our practice. And that includes every single part of the body with every single type, different types of modalities. And we will go through a rigorous process where we will test the different AIs to make sure that they're actually elevating our level.
Mm.
And more exciting is when there is no AI available to solve a problem or a task that we need, we'll go out and build one or partner and co-develop different technology. So I think we're in a really great place with our volumes to be able to help shape the future of imaging at SimonMed.
Kind of speaking of the AI and seeing it as like a tool and all of that, how do you see the role of the radiologist kind of changing with the AI assisted diagnostic process, or as the more that it's being leveraged, how do you see that relationship changing, I guess?
Yes, I think most importantly, when we think about that question, it's underscoring that AI will not replace radiologists, at least at their
I'm sure
current.
that's a relief. I'm sure that's a relief for many of them to hear, and also just for patients in general. I'm
Yeah.
a huge AI enthusiast, and I think a lot of the people who have the fear around it just don't understand kind of that you're the humans that you're guiding, or you're a part of it. You're a huge it doesn't just run off and make decisions without you, Last kind of questions, like, what advice would you give, radiology practices or healthcare orgs that are kind of new with AI and are looking to integrate it into their workflows and in general, like improve their operations and diagnostic abilities and things like that. Um, if you have any specific advice or just thoughts on how to make that process smooth.
Think starting small, but
Mhm,
starting now would
mhm,
be the key advice, right? Because I'll drive home that point again, that practices that use AI will replace practices that don't.
mhm,
It's just too compelling and it helps too much in this current state to not utilize AI. And while there's, very few CPT codes to help, pay for this AI, if you are a savvy practice, you will see the return on investment immediately. And finally, I would focus on AI tools that enhance, not try to replace your clinicians. And involving as many key stakeholders as possible early, including your
mhm.
technologists, your operators, your radiologists, will
Mhm.
all help drive the conversion and adoption of AI.
Yeah, and I imagine, of course, like the training or talking to the patients about it and training the teams, I think really also could help because if patients also see the the way that it improves the whole experience for them, and I think that would also kind of help motivate practitioners, in healthcare to adopt as well because if you imagine being on the receiving end of the scan, the more thorough and efficient that experience is, and yeah, it's I think it's a benefit for everyone, but yeah, so thanks for that. And last question, what are any new news or announcements or things that are happening that Simon has planned for the future that you're able to talk about that you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, I think definitely stay tuned. At SimonMed, we are excited to be building and rolling out different AI technologies in the short term. We have the Mammo Plus program launching in the next short period of time, and I think that's going to help drive home the point that if you are a patient that would like to have the best type of mammogram possible, you can only find that at SimonMed with the multiple AIs utilized and the personalization of reports. And then even from a broader sense, we have Simon One, right, which is our whole body uh, proactive MRI screening program. And we're building AI into that program as well. So we believe
Wow.
what we're doing will be transformative to all patients that come see us at SimonMed for whatever study they choose.
That's great to hear. And I'm sure so many people are appreciative of the work that you're doing to improve cancer screenings. And it's going to make such a difference in saving people's lives. Well, with that, we'll wrap up another episode of the MedCurity podcast. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And thanks so much for joining me today, Dr. Raj. It was really nice speaking with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
Take care.